Next is a show that is even worse than Class of 3000. It's out of Jimmy's head. This show is simply horrendous. The characters are idiots, it makes no sense, and it's not funny. The jokes are also really bad, and everybody on the whole world hates this show. The movie Reanimated was okay, it wasn't good, but I have seen worse. However, the television series is so bad that only one show is worse than this. Also, in the movie, two characters were Asian, but in this series, they are African Americans. Just why? Also, another thing, how is it possible that Jimmy's sister is an alien? How can cartoon characters from Jimmy's head bite real people? How can Jimmy's retarded dad be the school's principal? And so on. This show is simply stupid. Also, in one episode, Jimmy has a roller coaster in his house. I'm not kidding. He has a roller coaster in his house. This show is garbage of garbage, and it gets a -1 from me. Next is Chowder. At first I liked this show because it was actually funny, but later it became stupid and the good jokes were replaced with toilet humor. Anyway, this show is bearable, and since the first episodes of this show were good, it gets a 3 from me. After that came the marvelous misadventures of Flapjack. It's everything else than marvelous. Here we go again. The characters are unlikable. The animation is terrible. It has no real jokes. It feels like drug addicts made it, and at times I think it tries to copy SpongeBob. Anyway, it was cancelled after 3 seasons, and it got replaced with shows that are just as mediocre as this crap. It gets a 1 out of 5. And next is Adventure Time. This show is trying to be entertaining with a combination of weird, pointless, stupid, and random. It has no jokes, and it isn't funny. The animation of this show is terrible and really ugly. Cartoons shouldn't be like reality, but they also shouldn't feel like an acid trip. It feels like the people who made this show are on drugs. Also, the characters aren't likable. Finn is a strange boy that never shuts up. Jake is a weird shape-shifting duck. Marceline is a vampire that acts gothic. She also likes to pick her nose, and she is a bad singer. Princess Bubblegum is a bubblegum human hybrid. Lumpy Space Princess is a talking cloud that has the voice of a guy. And the Ice King is an annoying villain that tries to force princesses into marrying him. The first episode I watched was Slumber Party Picnic, and it wasn't funny. This episode was nothing special, and it was just too silly. The next episode I watched was Trouble in Lumpy Space. So, the talking cloud bites Jake, and he is now turning into a talking cloud. They have to go to Lumpy Space for the antidote, and the whole time the viewers have to listen to the annoying cloud. Later we can see that the antidote is an orb, and Jake has to sit on it to become normal again. Anyway, this episode sucked, and Lumpy Space Princess isn't funny. I also watched the following episodes: Prisoners of Love, Marceline's Closet, and To Cut a Woman's Hair. None of these episodes were funny. The only thing I liked in Prisoners of Love is that the Ice King made Finn and Jake shut up. In Marceline's Closet, Finn sees Marceline naked. You know, for kids. And in To Cut a Woman's Hair, Finn shows his long hair he hides under his hat. He gives his hair to a witch, and she wants to use it for evil. If someone didn't see that coming, please raise your hand. For some reason this show is popular and it has many obsessive fans. These take criticism of this show as a personal insult and attack people for their opinions. Anyway, this show is bad, but Cartoon Network has many other shows that are even worse. My rating 1 out of 5. Next, it's a regular show. This show is about a blue jay named Mordecai and a raccoon named Rigby. They are slackers at a park and have many Adventures. Both are very stupid and also selfish. Other characters in this show are Benson, a talking hot-tempered Gumball machine, Pops, a talking lollipop. This is the weirdest thing that I have ever seen in a television cartoon. Muscle Man, a fat green guy. High Five Ghost, a ghost with a hand on his head. And Skips, a yeti. And that's about it. And believe it or not, this show is even weirder than Adventure Time. Most episodes are boring at first, but then they become drugged up. I watched 3 episodes of this show. The first episode I watched was Brain Eraser. Our 2 superheroes are playing video games and Rigby finds Pop's Mustache Monthly magazine. Mordecai delivers the magazine to Pops and accidentally sees him naked. You know, for kids. This image gets stuck in his head and he sees it everywhere. Rigby tries to help him and gets a supernatural tape of anime. Seriously? The tape removes Mordecai's memory and he becomes as mindless as fans of Justin Bieber. Rigby and Skips try to help him and they also watch the tape. They try to remove Mordecai's memory and a lot of weird and creepy things happen. This episode was 100 times worse than Buffalo Gals. It's simply terrible. What's supposed to be funny in this? A blue jay, a raccoon, and a yeti go inside a videotape to run after a naked lollipop? There is no way that a normal person could make a cartoon like this. The second episode I watched was Benson Be Gone. Rigby and Mordecai cause troubles at the park and Benson is blamed for it. Because of that, a human called Susan gets Benson's job and Benson has to work alongside Rigby and Mordecai. The Gumball machine becomes a slacker and gets fired. Soon he meets a strange hobo and realizes he has to get his job back. When he returns, he realizes that everyone is turning into Susan. And the only way they can turn back is by not listening to Susan. It turns out that Susan is a demon. And the hobo defeats her by driving a car into her high heels, but he also dies in the end. Again, what's funny in this? I don't think that cartoons should be like acid trips. And the final episode I watched was The Power. In this episode, the 2 idiots are wrestling with a doll and make a hole in the wall. The stupid raccoon then brings to the blue jay a magic keyboard that he stole from a wizard. The keyboard has magic powers and because of that they sent the yeti to the moon. Of course they have to save him and at the end they put a poster over the hole in the wall. Again, what's funny in this? And this show also curses.
But he's gonna be pissed!
Many fans are trying to tell people that piss isn't a curse word. Then tell me, why is it one of the 7 dirty words? Also, if you want to know a word that people think is a curse word but it isn't, then I know one. It's jackass. That word means just male donkey and nothing else. However, this isn't the only inappropriate thing in this show.
Now, how in the H are we gonna fix this S?
I think this show should be on Adult Swim. And I don't care that this show has a TV PG rating. It is on Cartoon Network. And kids are going to watch it. Seriously, what's next? How can this be more inappropriate?
Ooh, what's this? 2 girls, 1 cup. Well, sounds delightful. I guess I'll just click, 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 click. Ooh, they're eating ice cream. I love ice cream. Wait a minute. That doesn't look like ice cream. What is this?
Okay, I read that this is fake, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was actually in the show. This show is terrible. It isn't funny, it tries to be entertaining the same way as Adventure Time, but it can be even weirder. It has also many obsessive fans that behave like little kids when this show gets criticized. If you are a normal fan, I don't have a problem with that. But if you are a fantard, just shut up. This show gets a 0 from me. I rather watch Fanboy and Chum Chum. Next is Robotomy, and this is a good show. Finally, Cartoon Network made a show that is funny, and actually, this is their best show since 2006. I really like how this show has many references to pop culture, but they are done in a way that people will find it funny even 20 years from now. No way they can ruin this show, right? Wrong. They cancelled it after 10 episodes. Are you kidding me? I really hope they have a good reason for cancelling this show. Wrong again. There is no good reason for cancelling the only funny show on this channel. It is sad that this show ended this way. Anyway, this show gets a 4 from me. So, Cartoon Network is definitely going to replace this show with a good show, right? No. Well, it definitely can't be worse than Out of Jimmy's Head. Wrong. The following show is the worst thing that I have ever watched. I'm talking about the Problem Solverz. This show is so bad that words can't describe it. The animation is even worse than Adventure Time. The characters are brain dead morons, and the humor is so bad that there is no way it can be worse. This show has 3 main characters. The most annoying one is Ulf, who is a walking pile of diarrhea, chocolate pudding. What the heck is this thing? He was found and raised by Horace and his twin brother Robot. This show is so terrible that I rather watch all Twilight movies and every episode of Out of Jimmy's Head, The Looney Tunes Show, and Dora the Explorer than to watch a single episode of this crap ever again. The thing that surprised me the most is that this show is going to have a second season. Cartoon Network, how could you replace Robotomy with this? This show is so bad that it gets a -5 from me. Next came The Amazing World of Gumball. This show is okay, however I think if it had better writers it could be much better. Only 2 things bother me in this show. Number 1, it's not amazing enough to have the word amazing in its name. And number 2, some characters are just odd. This show doesn't need weird characters because they are not needed for the episode plots. Like for example Darwin. He used to be a pet goldfish until someday he grew legs. Okay, did Gumball feed his goldfish with fish flakes that have radioactive plutonium and francium in it? The first episodes of this show weren't that good, but the newer ones are better. This show gets 3.5 from me. Unbelievable, Cartoon Network has a decent cartoon. And now, the last crappy show, The Secret Mountain Fort Awesome. This is another terrible show. The characters are idiots, the animation is hideous, the jokes are really bad, and the show is disgusting. It's about a group of aliens. The leader is Festro, a stupid alien that loves to punch himself in the face. Then there is Fart, an alien that is made out of bots. Another character is Dingle, who just looks creepy. Then there is Slug, an alien with black fur and a nose that is full of snot. And finally, Brumoner, a green ball with pimples and 2 arms. This show is gross and not funny. Also, nothing makes sense. This show gets a 0 from me.